Hello, everyone. Alexandra here. If you're just tuning in to the podcast for the very first time, welcome to Take a Chance on You. If you're a long-time listener, welcome back. We're into season 2, Leaders on Their Way and Aspiring. Season 1, we covered hidden talent, where I explored students and young people entering the workforce, going through their applications for apprenticeships, internships, they're volunteering, and they really relate their stories for the very first time. Season 2, with leaders, we have some fantastic guests joining me to discuss some of the challenges that they're facing, what it means to be a leader in 2025 and beyond. So I'm so excited to have you here. I think what's really unique and special about Take a Chance on You is it was born out of an idea that I had from networking here in London in 2024. I was talking to strangers. I'd meet them for the first time and we talk about the challenges we were facing together, lack of community, resources, and being able to have easy flowing conversations. And I always said to myself, if I was going to launch a podcast, it would be to reflect that and to continue those conversations. So Take a Chance on You is very special. As I say, we're into season 2. I'm so excited to have you here and I hope you enjoy the episodes to come.
Feeling lost in the noise of social media? Inspo cuts through the clutter, connecting you directly with real insights from real experts and industry leaders. It's a new social network dedicated to knowledge sharing, industry insights, and thought leadership. Get the latest from top minds in your field, or build your own thought leadership portfolio on Inspo. Already trusted by thousands of professionals worldwide, be part of the conversation and download Inspo Experts today on the App Store or visit www.inspo.expert.
Welcome back to the Take a Chance on You podcast, hosted by me, Alexandra Forsyth. I'm so excited today to be passing the mic to Morgan Yuan, who is a business major currently studying at USC Marshall School of Business in California. She's based in Los Angeles right now. She's joining us today. Morgan has experience in influencer marketing, wealth management, and is really passionate about entrepreneurship. Morgan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel like I've been in the midst of midterms now. They're finally over. So I'm doing much better than I was a few weeks ago if you would have asked me then.
Good. Because Morgan, I mean, like I said, you're Gen Z, you're studying.
Mm-hmm.
How is the landscape going today in terms of university given COVID and AI? We'll just jump in.
Yeah, totally. I think nowadays for college students, with the rise of AI, we're constantly using a lot of AI opportunities, which can definitely be a good thing to our advantage. But at the same time, it definitely does limit some creativity I've seen within some of my classes, especially taking entrepreneurship classes, for example. I've been able to see that we do tend to limit our creativity by using these like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, such like that. But totally love AI. I think it is a great resource and I think everyone should be looking into it, especially if you're planning to go into really any industry in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Any industry, because I think AI has pros and cons. Obviously, from my perspective, I look at cybersecurity and the risks, but the positives are it can really alleviate some of the pressure. I think when you're writing your reports or whether you're wanting to summarize your emails, whatever you're using AI for, there's definitely benefits to that. But it's always just making sure that, and I was listening to a podcast recently now, remaining curious about life.
Oh, okay.
And just remaining curious about people and connection and community, because AI can have its benefits, but we don't want to solely rely on it for everything.
Yeah, I think
As you
going into
said.
that, I think human connection is so important nowadays. And I think we tend to forget that, especially with that rise of AI. People kind of, I mean, even after COVID, people are kind of to themselves more so. And I think
Yeah.
that we're trying to bring back that human connection that people thrive on because that really is what makes someone human.
And to be honest, I mean, Morgan, given kind of your age now, you were 14, 15 when COVID was happening, or just
Yeah,
relatively young at school. So
crazy to
how
think
was,
about. Yeah.
how was that for you?
Oh, COVID was definitely an interesting experience to say the least. I took classes on Zoom for a little bit, and then the second semester I transitioned into hybrid in my high school. It
Yeah.
was definitely something that I actually enjoyed for the first semester just because I was like, oh my God, like extended spring break, so exciting, more time on my hands.
Yeah.
But as we progressed, it definitely got a little harder in the sense that I missed that connection with my friends. I miss going to dance. I miss
Mm,
just hanging out with people in person rather than on a screen. So I think
mm.
that COVID definitely transitioned us into this segment of like where we are now in human connection. And I think that's important to realize for sure.
Absolutely. It's so crazy that we talk about COVID because I was just finishing my
Yeah.
master's. So I was
Oh,
around 23, 24, and then
oh my
COVID
God.
happened, lockdown for 2 years. Obviously, we're all just in
Hmm.
our homes. But there was no
Yes.
AI. There was no kind of
There
talk
wasn't.
about AI. It was 2020. And then fast forward 5 years, and it's all that we keep talking about,
Totally.
isn't it? Mm,
Yes, it is. We're constantly like, "Oh my gosh, like AI, AI, AI." And like you said, it's such a great thing to have on your hands. But at the
mm,
same time, if you're building a brand, for example, and wanting to go into entrepreneurship, you have to realize that something that you can't buy is that
mm.
like feeling of community that a lot of brands miss out on.
Yeah. And I think also I was
Yeah.
giving a talk recently and I was saying, now that we have technology like AI, we really
Mhm.
can use it and yield it to our will. So we
Yeah,
can
totally.
build those really strong partnerships as people,
Mhm.
strategize what we want to do in terms of branding or marketing or business, and then use AI to facilitate that. So
Yeah,
actually, we become stronger as a team, and then AI
totally.
is this technology that we use to get the output. So we've got
Mhm.
to shift our mindset, I think, sometimes with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm always trying to see like where can I fit AI into this specific teamwork activity that we have. And I think there's a
Mm,
lot of ways that you can fit it into. Like I'll be like, okay, let's try to draft up a few like questions for who we're going to ask about customer discovery, for example. We can
mm.
totally use that. But on the other hand, again, like we're also thinking about, okay, but we want that face to face interaction as well. So, what's a way that we can mix our AI resources with what we're actually trying to get as our output?
That's really interesting. And I mean, I'm a big advocate for events and in-person
Yes.
workshops. So again, we
Hmm.
can still have all of those things. And then
Yeah.
AI becomes this enabler in a way. It just
Yeah,
enables you to do
totally.
more.
Agree with that. Yeah.
But going right back to the beginning, 'cause I feel like I've just
Yes.
ploughed right into
No, no
AI.
worries.
For anybody listening, the reason why I asked Morgan to come on the podcast was because recently she put a post out on LinkedIn. I think it was about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer
Hmm.
than that. And I really loved, so I'm connected. I think it came through a connection that I have. They'd liked or reshared your post, and I just so happened to see it. What I really loved is how bold it was. So the LinkedIn post started off with the hashtag rule number one, never stop chasing your goals. I find with the younger generation, and when I present to students, they're so intelligent and smart. They go after what they want. They're very driven. And I think when I read this post, that is what capulates Morgan. And you were talking about how you took a chance on yourself to contact the CEO of Poppi, which is a very popular beverage brand for anybody listening not familiar with Poppi. They collaborate with a lot of well-known individuals, content creators online. And Morgan, you will be interning with them successfully in 2026. Talk a little bit about
Yes.
your journey because this is the whole point of the podcast. I really
Totally.
want anybody listening who's young, who's thinking about an internship or who's thinking about
Yeah.
reaching out and taking a chance. What can they do and how you managed to do
Mhm.
it?
Yes, that's a really great question. And it definitely is a long process, I would say. You have to be willing to put in the work because, I mean, hard work gets you a great amount of success. And I think that that's also something people tend to forget. Talent, I would like, I guess my motto is like hard work will always be talent. So I've never been like the smartest in the room, but I'm always the hardest worker. And I think that's something that people admire about me. And I love to be that person for a company, a friend, whoever it may be. So I guess walking through the process of how I got this internship, it's definitely something that I am very proud of, but it was a lot to handle, I won't lie, because I was constantly just I'm like an overthinker. So in my head, I was like, oh, I'm not going to get this. I've had many rejections before this, like many. So having those rejections in my mind, I was like, I'd probably not get this internship. It's definitely something that I'll just put in the back of my mind instead. But at the same time, because it was something that was such a big goal of mine, I always was thinking about it. So I guess technically not in the back of my head, but I was trying to put it in the back of my head at the time. But getting the internship, starting off, I saw that Alex Earl posted an internship on that August date. And then I also saw Poppi posted the internship. So I knew about both of them, Alex as a celebrity or influencer, and then Poppi as a big soda brand. I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank. So I've known about Poppi since Mother's Beverage, and I'm a huge fan. How I realized that I do want to go into entrepreneurship in the future.
And Shark Tank, for anybody listening, it's a US-based show, but it does remind me of Dragon's Den, which is a UK-based show, and it's where people come on and pitch their ideas. So I think
That's
it's a
so
very
cool.
similar basis with Shark Tank. I'm
Right.
pretty sure, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Wait, that's so interesting to hear about that it's in
Mm.
another area as well. Yeah, I think Shark Tank for me
Mm.
thing. Yeah, I was just like, Shark Tank's amazing. Like I watch it all the time. I watch it with my dad at home when I was younger, especially. And then watching like Poppy grow into what Poppy is known as today has been a big transition. Obviously, they became Poppy soda and the whole target audience has changed for that. So I guess for after I saw that Alex in Poppy posted that internship, I immediately applied. I knew that time was of the essence because I knew a ton of people would also apply to this. I think that this internship was special because it wasn't like a just be a marketing intern. It was be a marketing intern for one of the best people and companies that you have ever known about. So that was a big thing that drew me specifically to this internship. And because I applied that day, I actually reached out to the CEO on LinkedIn. And this was Chris Hall. I told him about my passion for the brand, why I wanted to be an intern, and I just shot my shot and took a chance. When I took that chance, he replied the next morning and he was like, I love your effort. I really admire you. You're a go getter, whatever. And from there, I guess the rest is history. I'll definitely go into that, I guess, a little more. But just starting there, I knew that I had a good start to trying to get this internship. Again, throughout the process, it did start to get a little crazy because there were thousands and thousands of applicants who were all so amazing. I actually think I was inspired by so many of them, and I learned a lot throughout the process as well. So just knowing how much I went through makes me really proud.
I feel like you're making me a bit emotional. I mean, I love hearing the success stories. I also love hearing the failures. So I do really enjoy
Mhm.
when you said not that you were rejected, but I love that you admit that and are
Yes,
honest about that, because I don't think we talk
totally.
about rejection enough. I've faced a
Yes,
lot of it in my career. I think it's the pathway to success.
it is.
Rejection is redirection, as they say, onto
Yes.
bigger and better things. And who knows, if
Mhm.
you'd have been accepted, would you have gone on to Poppi and put yourself
Right.
forward?
I think everything happens for a reason. So whenever I get rejected from somewhere I really love, you actually never know if you actually would have loved that place. I think of this a lot because not enough people, like you say, talk about rejection, and it's something that is looked down upon in a way. So being able to be vulnerable and open for that is something that I've always liked to do. On my YouTube channel, I've actually put out a college reaction video my senior year of high school, and this went pretty viral, I would say, with over around like 470,000 views and 9 million impressions. So it was a lot, but I think the reason why is because I was very vulnerable with what happened to me. I got rejected from over half the schools that I applied to, and I applied to, I think, like 20, 23 schools. It was a lot on my list, but going through that rejection period meant a lot to me in a way because I knew that I put my best foot forward and wherever I would end up would be where I'm supposed to be. And I mean, I ended up where I am now and I'm actually so happy to be here. Who would have known what would my life be like at another school? But I just know that you have to make the best of your situation and it normally turns out to be the best thing for you.
I love that. And I think also, I think you have to let go of your expectations
Mhm.
sometimes of yourself. And for me, I'm
Totally.
quite a perfectionist in my career. I'm the same as yourself. And I love what you mentioned. You might not be the smartest person in the room, but you work hard. And I think that really is what differentiates yourself from possibly a lot of the other people that were working towards this internship. Not to say that they're not working very hard, but there is
Mhm.
something that's quite clearly set you apart. And I think you
Yeah,
have to remember that you bring a unique perspective to
totally.
any situation that you find yourself in.
Yeah, totally. I mean, going into more of the depth of my internship application process, I did do a lot of outreach. So I would reach out to all of the different people in the Poppi company. It wasn't just part of the culture team, the social team, and the marketing team, but it was also sales, finance. Like I connected with the CFO. I think it's really important to have that diverse connection with a lot of people in the brand because word of mouth, a lot of things spread quickly. So you never know what could happen internally. And they may be like, hey, check out Morgan because she's been reaching out to me, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's important to connect with a wide range of people within whatever company you are applying for.
I absolutely just love what you've mentioned there. And it's something, again, that I've been saying in the cybersecurity, connect with outsider teams. So as you very well just put it, marketing, brand, for us, it would be legal or HR, but connect
Mhm.
with as many teams as possible because everybody's perspective matters. And
Yes,
it's giving
totally.
everybody a voice in the decision making.
Yeah, fully agree with that. I mean, everyone has different perspectives on how things are working. And I think that it's good to be open to those because if you're not, there's no way for growth. Yeah.
Absolutely. But talk a little bit more kind of, if you can, about the
Yeah.
process and I guess also because this will really help the listeners think about strategy, not just
Yeah.
internships, careers, jobs later on.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess my best tip for standing out is to offer something that no one else can offer, but at the same time, you have to be willing to put in that extra step. So, yes, you can apply online for an internship. Yes, they may look at it but to really put your name out there, it's important to reach out to people, to like and comment on their LinkedIn posts of the team, to connect with the CEO. Like, do that extra step that you think other people won't, because that's the thing that will really set you apart and what's going to make or break technically if you would get the internship or not. Because there are so many qualified people out there and definitely there's going to be someone who's more qualified than you, for sure. But to set yourself apart from that person is to take that extra step that they may not be willing to do. Or who knows, they may be willing to do the same, but it is just the effort put into it.
Yeah, I think it's also a really good learning exercise, whether or not you want this internship or job. If you sit back and say, well, actually, I don't want to do that outreach, I don't want to contact that
Totally.
person, then this isn't
Hmm.
the right job for you. Clearly,
Agree.
because as soon as you get that role, you'll be doing that times 10 and you'll be having to speak to
Right.
hundreds of more people. So do it early
Hmm.
on is what I'm hearing. Do it right
Yes.
at the beginning to get
Yes.
you prepared.
Do it as early as possible, but also don't
Mm.
feel like there's a rush. I think people my age are thinking that, oh my gosh, I need my internship right now. And although I was one of those people, I think it is important to realize that you're going to get a job sooner or later. I know the job market is tough, but just understanding that things take time is really important. I have a hard time with that, which is why I'm always someone who's trying to be on the go and trying to finish stuff as fast as I can. So just having the patience to let things happen how they are supposed to happen is also important.
Absolutely. So going back to the internship, how long will it be for exactly? And will you be doing the internship and then return? Because you'll be graduating next year, but you're wondering whether to stay on a little bit longer. So the
Right.
internship will fit quite nicely into that.
Totally. So the internship starts in June and then it ends in August. It will be an internship within Poppy's culture team, which includes marketing, socials, all of the fun, creative things that I love to do. So I'm super excited. I am interning along with five other interns. So I'm super excited to meet them as well. I've been chatting with some of them already. So we are so hyped to have this happen next summer. It is hybrid. So, meaning we are doing it mostly remote with paid opportunities. And then with that, we also are being flown out to the headquarters in Austin, Texas. So, we'll be meeting everybody on the team hopefully there. And then also we'll get flown out for other extra events like the annual marketing summit, for example.
It's amazing. So you're going to do so well.
Thank
I
you.
know it. I can feel your energy and I know
Thank
you will
you.
absorb the information and you will really, I think you will bring a fresh pair of eyes as well, more ideas to the table,
Yeah.
because that's what
I'm
they'll
hoping
want.
Yeah, totally. I think that all of the other interns that are with me are so, so amazing. I've seen all their social medias, we've talked a lot, and it just inspires me and motivates me to do better. And I think that that's what you need when you're part of a team. And especially like being part of that so early on in an internship is crucial. So I'm really excited to see how we all are able to bring new ideas to the team and grow together.
I love that. And I can't believe there's six of you including yourself, or five
Yes,
including
six,
yourself?
including myself.
Six including. God, I mean, you think about the thousands of
Mhm.
applicants and the
Right. I feel
six of
really
you, such
lucky.
a small number. Yeah.
Yes,
And obviously it's a
totally.
household brand. Everybody's very
Yes.
familiar with it where you are, and the
Yes.
opportunity is fantastic. But
Right.
kind of drawing back the curtain, what made you want to post it on LinkedIn? And then going back to kind of your college as well, talking about social media for a second, because obviously the landscape has completely changed the last couple of
Yeah.
years. Content creators are just throwing out and churning out videos. Talk to me
Mhm.
about that.
Totally. I think for me as a content creator, it's important to bring that authenticity. So again, going back to that value in being vulnerable for getting all of the college rejections that I got, just really putting yourself out there and saying, hey, even if I get rejected, this is me being here and being present and sharing myself in a public space, which can be super scary for a lot of people. I understand that. But the more you put yourself out there on the internet, especially, sometimes it will reward you with more than you could ever imagine. So I think that's important to know as well. And then going back into your first question, I guess, what made me want to post? For me, I was obviously looking for summer internships at the time, but something more special to me was the brand. I have been a huge fan since watching Shark Tank. So I think being able to hopefully later on connect with Allison and the rest of the team and really see how they were able to turn this into $1 billion business because it was just recently sold to Pepsi, is just so important to learn. And I think that that will really help me in my entrepreneurial future career.
I love that. And it's like I said before, it's very broad and it's very brave to put yourself out there and be authentic and be vulnerable, because there are certain people out there who may not like your videos and then comment
Mhm.
on it, and you have to take that with a pinch of salt, as we say, and try not to let it get to you and try to move past that, because there will always be people out there that have nothing better
Yes.
to do, unfortunately, than go online and be the
Mhm.
keyboard warriors. And we have to just remember
Mhm.
there's light outside of the laptops. We can
Yes.
go and take a walk and be with our family and
Right.
friends and forget about it. So I think that's really
Mhm.
important, being online, putting your content out there. I mean, some
I
of the
agree with
trends that
that.
we're seeing the next couple of years is more thought leadership. So really thinking about the brand, as you say, putting your knowledge out there, building that community, being a little bit vulnerable, but bringing your level of knowledge will be really key.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I think also going back into what you were just saying about, I mean, there's always going to be people on the internet that say that you're not good enough or you're not doing something right or they just don't like your videos. Like you said, they're doing something with their time. I don't know what, but something, I guess. And I think it's really cool to actually be able to have like a support system within yourself, whether that be your family, your friends, whoever, teachers, even. I have a lot of professors that I can talk to about really anything, and I think that that's something I love about USC in general, but we can get into that later. But I really do think that having, like, a tight circle rather than a large circle is valuable in the sense that if you are getting some hate or if someone's maybe saying something about you, you can just confine in your small group and realize that you have the people you need and nothing matters more than that.
Absolutely. It's about having a sounding board. And
Mhm.
as you very nicely just put it, you've got your family and friends in your personal life, and then your professional life or your educational life. You have your professors. When you go on to do the internship, you'll have professionals who you can talk to as well about the any challenges that you're facing. So it's having different people at different stages of life.
Mhm. I think that's super important. I think I'm having an internship right now with a wealth management company, and what we talk about is being able to actually have that secure friend group and secure friends that you can confide in. But with that, having different kinds of people in your life. because once again, going back into having different perspectives is so important. That's the only way you'll be able to grow. So having different family members for different situations you can talk to, having different friends for different situations is just really great to have behind your back always.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't particularly like having people around me that always agree with what I'm saying. So as you said, having different people, different perspectives to challenge your assumptions as well.
Yeah, all the time. I think people
Mm.
bring in a new perspective. Like, I have one friend, and her name's Natalie. She'll call me, or I'll call her, right? And we'll talk about super crazy things in the sense that I usually have a different perspective than she does, but she really brings me in because she knows who I am. She's known me for quite a while now, and she just really understands the person I am. And sometimes when I'm having a hard time or struggling with something, she'll draw me back in and say, "Oh, Morgan, like, I think you're stressed because blank, you're this type of person." And I think, wow, that's really true. And I know that about myself, but to have someone who really knows me well say it in front of my face and draw me back in is just so amazing. I think we're honestly almost complete opposites, but that's why we work as a friendship. I actually was talking to my professor last week about this, and I was like really stressed and feeling overwhelmed. And she told me, like, just take a step back, look at what you've done so far, what you've accomplished, and then see that whatever you're stressed about, it really is a tiny problem in a world of big opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think that self-reflection piece comes to mind. I try and do it every weekend. So I will sit
Mhm.
down and say what's gone really well this week, what hasn't gone really well, what could I improve on, ready for the following week. It takes maybe 30 or 40 minutes and I'll just sit there, but it's my time to just say,
Right.
okay, what am I proud of? And again, we're getting towards the end of 2025 as we head into another big year, 2026. It's self-reflection time to think about what we want.
I love that you do that. I actually do something very
Mm.
similar. So every day I have either a gratitude journal. I won't lie, I have been off that a little
I
bit
love
just
that.
because I've had such a busy schedule. But yeah, that's something I do want to get
Yeah.
back into, especially it's a gratitude journal and you just say what you did throughout the day, what could you have improved on. So something very similar. I also like to meditate every morning and night just for 5 minutes of my day because I'm a super anxious person. So having that mindfulness
Mm.
really grounds me into like starting my day and ending my day right.
Talk to me a little bit about the anxiousness. And because obviously, like I said, since COVID, and you very rightly said it earlier on, life's a bit different now. And we're not, I
Yes.
mean, in the workplace, we're not at work 5 days a week. University education, you're possibly not in every single lecture in person. Some of them are online, it's hybrid. So, I mean, for me, and I've always said this about people as well, feeling a little bit more socially anxious when we're around people. It's why we want to get back in person and build that community. Otherwise, life can just feel a bit hard sometimes. Do you feel that this is happening quite frequently amongst younger people?
Yeah, I actually do think so, especially since COVID. Everybody has been a little standoffish. I think it's definitely getting better in the sense that we've been getting accumulated to being back in person for a lot of options. But I mean, for example, I know a lot of companies switch to remote full time now rather than being in office. And I think that does somewhat create a disconnect. I think in person meetings are amazing and so are online, but in person really does have that different effect in the sense that you are talking to people face to face rather than a screen where maybe you're doing something else or you're getting distracted or you're just all in different areas. So I think that definitely has changed. And especially for Gen Z, being part of it, I think that I've noticed a lot of disconnect recently. But like I said, again, we're getting back into it, especially since COVID has happened a little bit a while ago now. Crazy to think about. Time has gone by very fast.
I know it's bizarre, really, because
Mm.
it is 2020, so it has been 5 years. And obviously, we had
Yeah,
2 years of lockdown, and it was quite an isolating time for everybody, and
right.
especially Gen Z, especially young people between the
Mhm.
ages of. Well, between the ages of really, I'd say about 14 up to 18, those are your really crucial years where you're in
Yes.
secondary school, high school for you, and then college.
Hmm.
Thinking about university,
Yeah.
those are the moments where you want to be around friends, you want to be making those
Hmm.
relationships, connections as well. So to not
Yeah.
have that and then all of a sudden be told, okay, now we're going to go back and now you need to go and speak to this person in person, it can feel very
Right.
anxiety inducing.
Yeah. I think like, connecting that back into like trying to get internships at a young age, it's just all about human connection. So once again, you can submit an application, but if you're willing to take that extra step and connect with a human, ask them if they're willing to chat. I do tons of coffee chats. I have too many to count. But really to like have that in person or even if it's virtual, just talking to someone on the team that you're applying for, or just in general, if we're talking more generally speaking, like friend groups, having someone like one person in a big friend group is really important to have as well.
I love that, and I'm such a big advocate for virtual coffee mornings, or if you
Yeah.
can do it in person, great, go and have a coffee with somebody. But a lot of people love to have a virtual coffee in the morning or
Yes.
afternoon, take 30 minutes or 40 minutes. If you're at a workplace, do it with one of your colleagues. But if you're wanting to meet somebody new, as you said, get on a call with them or a podcast like we are now,
Yes.
and just have a chat, just talk, because you
Yeah.
never know what inspiration you might take from that conversation.
I agree with that. I think life gets really busy for a lot of us, especially if you're living in different areas than where your friends are. So, on a friend basis, setting that time aside to hang out with them and to just get a different perspective on whatever you're stressed about, or honestly, if you're not stressed about anything, just chatting about how's your week been, or like what are you looking forward to next week? Let's plan something so we can get together each week just to keep those connections. And I mean, I love my friends so much. I feel like really lucky to have them.
I love that. And as you said again with the internship, I mean, you're so young. You've got to make it. It possibly does feel like you're making this monumental decision that will
Yes.
inform your future when you're applying for an internship. I mean, I can't imagine the stress it must put on you to have to think about it.
Yeah, I think applying for internships is probably like taking that first step is the hardest part because you're like, will I even get it? Should I even put in the amount of time and effort into it? But trust me, the more times you try, the better your chances, of course. Just mathematically speaking, you will get one eventually. And I mean, again, like how you were saying back before, if you're not willing to put in that extra step, maybe this isn't the right company for you because you have to really, really want it to be able to get it.
And I also think trust your gut feeling. I'm a big
Hmm.
believer in it will just feel right. The company, it will just happen. It will be a feeling that you have. You just know without even knowing at the same
Yes.
time. And it's the same with you. You applied, you weren't sure whether you get it, which is for a lot of people, you don't know in the beginning. It's baby steps. But then you
Hmm.
think about it more, you just know there's a bit of a feeling there, even though
Yeah.
you're trying to fight it, it's going to happen. And then
Yes.
magic, it does.
Yeah, that's actually funny that you say that because I had a feeling coming up to the week that it was supposed to be announced was actually different than the week it was announced. So before the week leading up to it, that it was supposed to be announced, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a good feeling in my gut. Like, I'm going to get this no matter what. I was like manifesting it, writing it down. I was like, I'm going to get this internship. I'm going to get this internship. I like wrote that down, I think like 10 times every day. So it was something that really was a dream of mine, and clearly it worked out for the best. But really just understanding that being able to put in that extra work and having that gut feeling, like you were mentioning, is, I mean, something that you really can't resist. It's inevitable, right? Sometimes, I mean, you could have a bad gut feeling, and it does sometimes work out for the best. It really does depend. But I think for the most part, if you know that you've put in a lot of work, your gut feeling is going to tell you that somehow this is going to work out in a sense.
Absolutely. Either way, as you said, either way, you could still have that really strong emotion, that feeling, have the internship, or if you're in a workplace, your first job,
Mhm.
and it not potentially work out. There are so many cases of that. I've had friends come to me and
Yeah.
say it's not what I would thought it would be. And that's absolutely fine. It's an experience. That's part of the big journey, really, the grand plan. So it's
Yeah.
just taking all of that on board as well.
Be open to rejection. Rejection is redirection. Always be open to just knowing that you tried your best. And if it didn't go the way you wanted, it's probably going to go the way you want it next time. It just always depends
Yeah.
because life goes in waves.
And you're growing and you're evolving as a person every single year. You get stronger. With every rejection comes a step towards success. So you
Yeah.
have to reframe and retrain your mindset. Be optimistic.
Yeah. I think looking back into all of the rejections that I have gotten, from a lot of different internships that I've applied for throughout the past few years. Looking back, I've actually learned a lot from the process, and I've learned how to interview better. I've learned how to make presentations and portfolios better. And I mean, overall, that has probably led to my success of getting this summer 2026 one.
When I was applying for my first role in cybersecurity, I was exactly the same position as you. I applied and applied and applied, but I kept getting
Hmm.
rejected for about 6 or 7 months. But in that time, I interviewed and I got so strong as an interviewee, and
Yes,
I learned the different styles of interviewing, what
right.
questions they might ask me, the different projects that I would have to complete. So without all of that, I'm not
Yes.
sure where I'd be. So again, you have to
Yeah.
reframe it and say, well, I've learned so much.
I agree with that. I think just being able to say, okay, I learned a lot through the process, and that's really all that matters. I try to take that approach into everything in life. Like recently, just with a lot of classes feeling overwhelming to me, and if I don't think I did as well as I did on a test, I'll be like, okay, you know what? I tried my best. I studied a lot, and that's all I could do. And overall, looking back, I learned a lot in the process, and that's what matters. And that's why we're here at school, right? So, same thing applies to your work life or whatever internships you may be applying for.
You've mentioned today. I mean, thinking about your studies right now, because you're a business major, and I have said this before, the courses are a little bit different. You're learning about leadership and you're learning about entrepreneurship very early on, I would say, before you've even set foot into a workplace with an employer. Talk to me a little bit about that, because it's happening here in the UK. I'm speaking to
Oh,
students
that's
at
great.
business school and they're learning the same thing.
That's great to hear. I think that that's so important to learn from a young age. USC is probably the best school if you want to go into entrepreneurship because we have so many incredible opportunities. Even have like our own like fifth floor in the Marshall building just for entrepreneurship. It's amazing. So having that access to a wide range of entrepreneurs, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs do come from USC, and also at the same time, the amount of people I've met that have an entrepreneurial spirit here is insane. Like I don't even know if I could say how many people because everyone here wants to become an entrepreneur, and I think that's so exciting.
So exciting, because again, you just bounce ideas off each other and you get
Mhm.
inspiration from others. But also, again, go back to the trends with Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Obviously, Gen Alpha are between the ages of, I think, about 15 to 16 now. They'll be entering the workforce in a few years'
I
time, or
know.
at least they'll be thinking about education, university. The trends are more entrepreneurship, having your own businesses, leadership, and going back to that, being broad, being brave, putting yourself out there. That is, you are the future generation of leaders.
Totally, and I think that that's what motivates me. It's the people around me that wanna be also go-getters with me. I think it's just important to surround yourself with people who also have similar goals in the sense that maybe it's not the same industry, but it's the same spirit. So having people be like, okay, I want that so bad, so I'm gonna put in that extra effort. Same idea with me, right? So like surround yourself with people who will be willing to do the same. And maybe even so put an extra step more than you would, and it would motivate you to do that extra step then. So it really does depend. But I think
It's
surrounding myself here has been great.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I said to one of my friends a couple of days ago, we were having a bit of a strategy session, and she said, "What do you think you need out of a person?" And I said, "I need somebody to be quicker than me. If I'm 10 steps ahead, I need them to be 20 steps ahead, already thinking about a plan before I am." So it's so funny that you say that, because you do need somebody or a couple of people that advocate for you, but also are
Yes,
quicker, because you're thinking light years, so they've got to be in
agree.
front.
Yes, totally. I think having those people really, really does motivate you because you're like, I thought I was doing enough already, but wow, you're doing amazing. Like, I need to start getting on my go. So I think being that person for other people, like younger people, and inspiring them, and then also with people who are trying to take more steps than you are, is really great because you just get motivated in general into really looking inside yourself and reflecting, what can I do better as a person?
It takes me on to a point about community and mentorship. We have a lot of it, especially in London. There are different types of
That's
communities that you
great.
can go to events and speak to people. You feel that you have the same in LA?
I do think being in LA has opened up a lot of opportunities for me and my community. I feel like I'm in a bubble here at USC, I won't lie, but I like being in that bubble in the sense that I do feel like it's a pretty strong community here. I think it's not too big of a school and it's not too small. People say it's like Goldilocks size. So having this medium-sized school that also has a lot of spirit, a lot of great academic resources and networks, it just has been so invaluable to me.
It's really great to hear that because sometimes people struggle, young individuals struggle to find their community or find their tribe. And possibly, and I say this, if you don't want to go to an in-person event because maybe you have a bit of social anxiety and you find that being in large crowds isn't for you, attending events online. So again, that virtual coffee morning, extending that to a bigger crowd and attending it and still having that opportunity to connect.
Yes, I'd say for younger people listening in, I would say start small. If you do have maybe that social anxiety, mentioning going online, and then from there you can expand your network into in-person events. I think it's good to say that you will always find at least one person in the room that is in a similar situation or feeling as you. They're maybe a little bit nervous, whatever it may be. You can definitely find someone like that and you can connect with each other and then be each other's duo, I guess you could say. But I think it's really important to say that always put yourself out there in any sense, any industry you're in, whether that be just school life, join as many clubs as you can. Obviously, don't burn yourself out, but try to explore what clubs interest you, especially for my freshmen that are listening in. And if you do that, you're able to meet more people, expand your network, and just, I mean, talk and connect with people that you may not have if you didn't join the club before.
And thinking about the topic of burnout, because I think mental health has been a bit of a buzzword the last couple of years. And this
Yes.
year, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about mental health online. Going on to the topic of burnout, I've suffered burnout quite a few times in my work life, which isn't a good thing. And I'm not proud of saying it, but I think talking about it more really opens up that conversation. So asking you, I mean, how do you feel about the topic of burnout? And do you have any ways that you can combat that with your studies?
I think it's actually great that you mentioned burnout and how you have burnout because, again, being vulnerable and saying that is actually so important. Burnout is something that I actually have dealt with a lot just because I put a lot on my plate. And partially my fault in the sense that I do overcommit and I'm trying to get better at that. But at the same time, I mean, burnout is gonna happen either way, whether you're doing only a few things or a lot of things. Because, I mean, just as humans, we get overwhelmed. There's a lot to do in life. You're trying to balance your social life, your work life, your academic life. And sometimes there really is no balance, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to accept that, like, balance isn't good sometimes. You have to be able to put your whole mind into something you want to do and then later on, you can, I guess, balance your life out a little bit. So it just, I guess it really does depend. But the ways I combat my burnout is talking to someone. So, how I was mentioning how I talked to my professor last week about something that I was just a little stressed about was really important. I'll call my parents, like my mom and dad, and tell them, like, this happened at school. Like, you know what? I just want to leave and travel the world. Like, my burnout is bad. I'll just be like, yes, I wanna
Yeah.
go to London, like, it's my dream.
Come,
I was like yeah,
please.
I think I literally sent a text to my family last week, and I was like, "I wanna drop out of school, like, I don't wanna be here anymore because things are just getting so overwhelming for me." But
Yeah.
then I think I took a step back and realized that, 1, to be able to do what I wanna do and live the life I wanna live later on and travel the world, I kind of need an education. Not to say that you like 100% need that education. I mean, there's people who obviously lots of entrepreneurs who have been able to build
Yeah.
something without an education. But I think for me and like where I'm standing, I do want a strong educational base.
Sometimes it will be chaotic. Sometimes it's not always burnout. It's just life's really busy and I
Mm-hmm.
do need to put all feet to the ground. I do need to embrace this moment if I'm
Yes.
really stretched. But if I don't know whether some people do a countdown, don't they, on their calendar, or they'll
Oh,
say, okay, for the next couple of months, I need to go all in. I need to immerse
mm,
myself. I've got deadlines or I've got this many things that I'm focusing on. Okay, it's this period is going to be chaotic. That's it. Let's just go all in. Let's immerse in it. After that, and it's why people take holidays and vacation, and they say, okay, if I've got an event that's coming up, and I got to prep for 6 months, and then do the event, and then after that, I go away for a couple of weeks,
yeah.
and it's it's having a little bit of a mental countdown to say it's not going to be forever, but I do need to go all in on this.
Mhm.
And that could possibly be a way to kind of combat that burnout feeling.
Yes, I agree with that. I think taking breaks is super important too. So just having that like 5 to 10 minutes, whether that just be also, I would say don't take a break on your phone. Take a break outside. So something that you aren't looking on a screen for, whether that be a quick walk across town, maybe going on a quick run. That doesn't really take 5 to 10 minutes, but just taking a break, maybe mindfulness, anything that will really be able to ground you again and say, okay, take a 5-minute break, go back to the work, and we can do better this time. So I think, I mean, that's honestly what I do a lot of the time. I take a lot of breaks, especially like when I'm doing homework and I'm like not understanding a problem, for example. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take a break, come back to this in like 10 minutes. And normally when I come back to it in 10 minutes, it ends up being completely fine. So sometimes you just need that brain break. But like you were saying, the thing is, I guess specifically in entrepreneurship, you need to be willing to go all in because there is no work-life balance in entrepreneurship. You're working on the clock nonstop.
No.
Yeah, you're always there. So I guess understanding that as a future entrepreneur hopefully will help me realize, yeah.
I class myself as a little bit of an entrepreneur. I have multiple things that I do, public speaking,
Totally.
podcast, and it can be, I can feel stretched sometimes, but I was talking to another guest on the podcast a few months ago, and we were talking about burnout, and we actually said sometimes you're burnt out because you're not doing the things that you love, because actually it's the work that you're doing, or possibly in education, the course that you're studying, it just isn't right for you, but you're trying to just carry on with it because you're not sure how to navigate that or
Mhm.
pivot or find a different pathway. So the burnout can stem from actually you're just not feeling, you're just not experiencing enjoyment anymore. So there's also that angle. And
I
um,
agree with
if we
that.
think about yeah, and if we think about university and students dropping out or carrying on and getting that degree, but actually if they had the choice, they might have decided to study something else.
Mhm. I think realizing that burnout and saying, okay, like, what is the reason for this burnout? And I like how you mentioned the point that sometimes it's maybe just like the situation isn't right for you in the sense that maybe you're working for the wrong company. So you have to understand that sometimes it's not a lack of like you not doing your best or you're doing too much, but it's a burnout of, I don't have a passion for this anymore, or I never even had a passion for it. So understanding like where your passion comes from, and that's why I say never do a job for just money because obviously money is amazing, right? Everyone wants money in life, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that are more important than that, and being able to realize that and having a passion for whatever you do, you have to look into the future and say, am I willing to be in this industry or am I willing to do this for the rest of my life if I had to? So having that passion is really
Yeah.
important.
I completely agree. And also on the money side of things, cybersecurity can be quite lucrative in the future if you stick it out. But it's to your point,
Mm.
longevity with a career. And do you see yourself doing this in 20 years' time? Because if you're just in it for the money and you're just in it for the promotion, and in 2, 3 years' time, you're going to go on to something else, it's not worth it. It really isn't. You've
Yeah.
got to think in the beginning, it might be tough. I might be on a basic salary and that's all I have to contend with for a few years, but then after that it's always the journey, it's a process with everything you
Yes.
do.
I mean, do what you wanna do in life for your happiness, not for other people's happiness, and, I mean, not solely for money. Being able to just have something that challenges you and being there, I guess, in the workspace and actually having a passion and being excited to go into the office every day is actually something that's pretty rare for a lot of companies because corporate America, we're all here just to, I mean, live our life and we're
Hustle
trying to
culture.
sustain. Yes, the hustle culture is crazy. And I feel like I'm
It's
even
times
part of
10
that,
compared
but
to us, I think.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. And like, yeah, it's hard to deal with because sometimes you can feel behind because so many people are like, "Oh, but I'm gonna get this job and I want to do this, this, this." Honestly speaking, that sometimes feels like me. But yeah, just putting yourself out there and just saying like, "I'm gonna do a job that I want to do for myself and what's gonna make me happy." Because honestly, that's the point of life. Like, yes, you need money to sustain whatever lifestyle you want. And if you want a crazy lifestyle, of course, you're gonna need a lot of money. But to get that money, you need to do something that you're passionate about because there's honestly no other way. Because especially in entrepreneurship, I think that many entrepreneurs will give up in the sense that they don't want to do what they're doing and they're only doing it for another reason or so. So continuing that on and saying like, I want to do this for the rest of my life, I will do it. Like this is what I want to do.
Absolutely. And you realize, I mean, my perception of money has changed considerably over the years. And now I look at it as investment. You're investing in your future. So, like I said, with a career, it's longevity and you will get the amount that you want to sustain, like you said, the lifestyle that you want. But viewing money just differently and just what are you passionate about, immersing yourself in whichever industry you want to be in, because then there will be different income streams, there'll be different projects that you do. What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? And going with that, I love road mapping my life sometimes, at least my career, and saying, well, I'm in this position now. In 6 months' time, I want to be here. In 3 years' time or a year's time, I want to be here, and just really going to the end. And I'm quite amazed at where I see myself sometimes, because if you ask me, I'll give you a completely different answer to what I've actually written down.
Yeah, I think that having those little steps of saying, okay, this is my long term goals. I see myself here in 10 years, but then taking a step back and saying, okay, what are the little steps I can do to achieve that goal? So I guess, for example, the internship that I got from next summer is a step into what I want to do in the future, which is own my own entrepreneurship brand, whatever it may be. I specifically do want to go into the beauty industry, and my dream in life is to have my own entrepreneurship, like beauty brand that's in Sephora's globally, whatever it may be. And I'm open to other opportunities both within entrepreneurship, but I know for a fact that in 10 years, I want to be working for myself. At the same time, though, if we are talking deep into entrepreneurship, you aren't actually working for yourself. You're always working for your customer, or you're always working for the people who are around you because they're holding you accountable for whatever you're doing. And you are reliable and responsible for others people's lives and salaries. So I think that's important to know that it isn't really just working for yourself, but the idea that I see myself in 10 years being someone who has built something from nothing almost and having it globally known wide is a dream of mine. And yeah, I'm really excited.
That really ambitious, but I see the potential there, and you better come back to the podcast and I'll be saying I had
Yes.
Morgan on before anybody else.
I know this is going
But
to
I
be
love
like
that dream.
a future
Yeah,
thing.
it's like an introduction, really. That's
Yeah.
scary. I don't want to think about that. We'll just stick to the conversation for today because it's been absolutely fantastic. But definitely dreaming big, as you say, having no limits. And it reminds me, I've had another guest come on recently, and she mentioned how similar to kind of a vision board, road mapping, manifestation, visualization, at the beginning of the year, she always writes down the amount that she wants to make in terms of revenue for the company. How is she going to get there? So, as you say, there's small steps throughout the year to reach that amount. And she said 9 times out of 10, she reaches it before the end of the year because she's really built that
That's
roadmap, that
great.
strategy. So if we're talking about entrepreneurship, but again, I loved one of your other points. You are always working for somebody else, really. You're never fully working for yourself because if I think about me and public speaking, the audience is responsible for me in a way, or the person that hires me for a gig, I'm responsible to them to deliver a service. So you're not as solo and on your own as you think you might be, even through entrepreneurship, yes, you get to make a lot of decisions independently and you get a lot more freedom, but the requirement is always, I think, going to be collaborative, working with other people, and that community piece again.
Yeah, I guess in general speaking, for on the entrepreneurship side, you're always going to be working for your customer no matter what. Because, I mean, if you have the best product in the world, you want people to know about it. But if the customer doesn't like what you're selling, of course, why would they buy it? So it's the idea that using customer discovery, seeing if it's feasible, and finding out if a customer actually wants to buy your product is important. And I think building off of that, why I think this internship for me will be such an amazing opportunity is because I'll really understand how to build a brand inside to outside. I think brand is the most important thing because, again, it's that community feeling. If you're able to create that, I guess I'll give an example from someone who came to speak in my class, I think last semester. She's the founder of Soul Cycle. I think her name's Julie Rice. And she was mentioning how Soul Cycle isn't just somewhere you just go work out, but it's a community where you connect with people on working out and you're saying, well, hey, like I'm going to biking this morning. You want to come with me? It's really just like a family. And I think that that's what you need to build with the brand. And Poppi has done the exact same just within the beverage industry super well. So if you're able to create that feeling, then a customer will buy your product.
I really love what you mentioned about Soul Cycle. I'm familiar with the brand, and it reminds me, we have a couple of running clubs here in London because I go running every morning, and I joined one specific running club, and it really felt like a community. We did go running, but they had boom boxes, they were playing music all the way around. We then had dinner afterwards, we connected together. It's experience driven, and as you say, brands really tapping into that. But it also reminds me of a lot of fashion brands here in London. They're offering those experiences, so you go shopping, but then you get to meet the designer and you get to have dinner and you get to network together, and it's taking people along with you on the journey.
Yeah, I think it is taking people along on the journey, that you're bringing people in. It's not just you yourself. You should never feel alone in the process because sometimes I feel like it can feel daunting in that sense. But having a strong team behind your back goes back to that social internal circle that you have that's really tight knit. You have people to rely on. And then in the workforce, you should always have a strong team to back you up. And I think if you have that, you're good for success because, again, what happens internally usually happens externally as well.
Absolutely. It's as the saying goes, you get the output from what you put in. So if you're cultivating the right team and the culture internally, then naturally that will bring you the customer base that you desire and want and have built from within in a
Absolutely.
way.
Yeah. All the time. I think, I mean, you have to
Quite
put in
poetic,
the
really.
work. Yeah. It really is. We're getting philosophical here now. Yeah.
We are a little bit, but I love that. And I can't believe it's the time now. It's been such a fantastic episode. And you've mentioned so many key strategies, but going right back to the beginning, I think one thing that really stands out for me is how you, through this internship, you really immersed yourself, even though you possibly, one of the key points you said at the beginning, you might not have felt like the smartest person in the room, but you knew that you'd work the hardest and you embodied the internship. You got it. You're successfully doing it in 2026, an intern with Poppi, the beverage brand, which is very well known. It's a fantastic space that you'll be in, connecting with teams, but you went above and beyond. You connected with the CEO, you messaged him, and also you spoke to different members of Poppi within the team to get your points across. Any last words you want to say for the listeners? Anything that you feel you haven't mentioned yet, or any summary you want to give of your strategies?
Yeah, I guess I already mentioned this, but I'm going to say it again because you have to hear it again. I think the main thing is to put yourself out there and be willing to take that extra step that other people won't be.
I love it. And Morgan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I think this episode is really going to resonate with so many young individuals either studying, looking for an internship. And I think everything that you've mentioned has been absolutely fantastic. You've been on such a journey and you've shared that today on Take a Chance on You. That's Morgan tuning in live from Los Angeles. business major, currently studying at USC Marshall School of Business, and she will be interning with the Poppi brand in the summer of 2026. Morgan, thank you so much, and I will see you all very, very soon.